Hello friends and welcome once again for a national workshop organized by Department of Biochemistry, Uttar Krishi Vishwavidyalaya and Society for Plant Biochemistry and Biotechnology, New Delhi. And today we are going to organize another practical session with our AAS instrument. The full form of this instrument is Atomic Absorption Spectrophotometer, and myself Dr. Somnath Mondal, Assistant Professor, Uttar Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, Department of Biochemistry, and today we are having with us Dr. Kumaresh Pal, Junior Research Fellow, Department of Biochemistry, Uttar Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, Mr. Rinku Das, as Associate Staff, Central Instrumentation Center, Uttar Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, and Dr. Priti Shayok Mondal, Assistant Professor, Department of Biochemistry, Uttar Krishi Vishwavidyalaya. Today we are standing in the soil testing laboratory of Uttar Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, and this laboratory is funded by Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana RKVY project of Government of India, and we will be doing practical on this AAS instrument, and we will be showing you every parts of the instrument and how the instrument works. So let us join for the practical session.
Before moving to the practical session, we should learn some basic theories of atomic absorption spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is the study of interactions between matter and different forms of electromagnetic radiation as a function of wavelength or frequency of the radiation. When practiced to quantitative analysis, the term spectrometry is generally used, which basically deals with measurement of specific spectrum. We know that atoms consist of three basic particles: protons, neutrons and electrons. The nucleus or center of the atom contains the positively charged protons and chargeless neutrons. It is surrounded by negatively charged electrons that occupy shells or orbitals of varying energy levels. When electrons remain in lower energy state in most stable arrangement, it is called the ground state. And when these electrons absorb energy, then they can travel to the higher energy orbital called as excited state. These electrons can again move to the lower energy orbital by emission of energy. So atomic spectroscopy is basically based on the electronic transitions between electronic energy levels of atoms and ions of elements. It includes a number of analytical techniques used to determine the elemental composition of a sample, that may be solid, liquid or gas, by observing their electromagnetic spectrum or mass spectrum. Considering the techniques of absorption, emission and mass configuration, atomic spectroscopy can be classified into several types like atomic emission spectroscopy, flame emission spectroscopy, atomic absorption spectroscopy, atomic fluorescence spectroscopy, X-ray fluorescence and mass spectroscopy. In today's teaching learning process, we only focus on atomic absorption spectroscopic technique. If a solution containing metallic salt or some other metallic compound is aspirated into a flame, a vapor containing atoms of the metal will be formed. Some of these gaseous metal atoms may be raised to an energy level which is sufficiently high to permit the emission of radiation characteristic to the metal. This is the basis of flame emission spectroscopy, formerly known as flame photometry. However, a much larger number of the gaseous metal atoms will normally remain in an unexcited state, or in other words, the ground state. These ground state atoms are capable of absorbing radiant energy of their own specific resonance wavelength, which in general is the wavelength of the radiation that the atoms would emit if excited from the ground state. Hence, if the light of the resonance wavelength is passed through a flame containing atoms in question, then part of light will be absorbed, and the extent of absorption will be proportional to the number of ground state atoms present in the flame. This is the underlying principle of atomic absorption spectroscopy. Another technique, atomic fluorescence spectroscopy, is based on the re-emission of absorbed energy as fluorescence by the free atoms. The working principle involves the conversion of analyte sample solution into a fine mist of ground state atoms by atomization, and measuring the absorbance by exposing the ground state atoms to a highly monochromatic beam of light of a specific wavelength. As the incident beam of light passes through the sample vapors, a part of it is absorbed, and the intensity of the transmitted light, that is IT, at a given frequency is less as compared to the intensity of the incident beam of light I0, and is related to the latter by the expression which is similar to Beer-Lambert law. You can see the equations here: IT equals to I0 e to the power minus k dash L. And the integrated absorption is proportional to number of ground state atoms capable of absorbing radiation of specific frequency, which approximates to the concentration of the analyte sample. And the final equation is log I0 by IT is equals to A equals to K ln equals to Kc, where A is the absorbance, A is the path length through the flame, N is the number of atoms, and C is the concentration of the absorbing species. Here K is a constant related to the absorption coefficient. Now this is the image of the instrument. You can see there are different parts of the instrument, starting from gas source, light source, the nebulizer burner system, monochromator, and detector. And this instrument is very sophisticated, that is used to detect and measure the concentration of various metals and semi-metals in liquid samples. The first double AS, which was a double beam atomic absorption spectrophotometer, was invented by CSIRO scientist Alan Walsh and his co-authors in Melbourne in 1954. The model name was Model 303, which was invented by Parkil Elmer, with which company the scientist worked on. And the first commercial use of these double A's was made in 1959. However, those are used for mining, medical treatments, and agricultural purpose. Coming to the gas source, there are three different types of gases are there: fuel gas, oxygen gas, and carrier gas. You can see the list of different gases. In most of the cases, we use acetylene gas, which in presence of oxygen gas, such as oxygen or compressed air, produces high temperature flame. In some elements, some carrier gas, argon is also required. Coming to the light source, there are two different types of light sources are generally found, that is electrodeless discharge lamp or EDL, and another one is the hollow cathode lamp. EDL is a small amount of metal or salt of the element for which the source is to be used is sealed inside a quartz bulb, and that bulb is placed inside a small self-contained radio frequency generator, and when power is applied to the driver, this radio frequency field is created, and the coupled energy will vaporize and excite the atoms inside that bulb, causing them to emit their characteristic spectrum. In case of HCl, it contains the tungsten anode and a hollow cylindrical cathode that is made up of the element to be determined. These are also sealed in a glass tube filled with an inert gas, neon or argon. This is the most widely used light source in atomic absorption spectrophotometer. Here the ions and metal atoms are excited due to their collisions, and which give off photons of certain wavelength when they reach the ground state. Coming to the nebulizer burner system, in the nebulizer portion, the sample solution is aspirated at a controlled rate, where they are converted into fine aerosol spray or mist, and this fine aerosol ultimately mixes with fuel gas and oxygen gas thoroughly before introduction into the flame. Then the monochromator part, that is used to separate out all of the thousands of lines, and it is very helpful to select the specific wavelength of light which is absorbed by the sample and exclude the other unnecessary wavelengths. And the selection of the specific wavelength of light allows the determination of the selected element in presence of others. Generally, two types of monochromator are found. One is prism and another was the grating, where grating is the most commonly used nowadays. Coming to the detector system, the light selected by the monochromator is directed onto a detector, that is basically a photomultiplier tube, whose function is to convert the light signal into an electrical signal proportional to the light intensity. The processing of electrical signal is fulfilled by a signal amplifier, and the signal could be displayed for readout or further fed into a data station for printout by the requested format. In data analysis, a calibration curve is used to determine the unknown concentration of an element in a solution. The instrument is calibrated using several solutions of known concentrations known as standards, and the absorbance of each known solution is measured, and then a calibration curve of the concentration versus absorbance is plotted. The sample solution is fed into the instrument and the absorbance of the element in this solution is measured. The unknown concentration of the element is then calculated from this standard curve, from this calibration curve. This sophisticated instrument is used in many sections such as clinical analysis for analysis of blood, urine, serum, for environmental analysis such as measuring different concentration of elements in rivers, seawater, drinking water, even in petrol and other drinks like fruit drinks, wine, beer. In pharmaceuticals manufacturing process, minute quantities of catalysts are used several times, and by using this instrument we can trace that metallic catalyst present in that product. In industry, this is also used for tracing any toxic impurities, such as in concrete, where calcium is a major constituent. The lead level should be low because it is a toxic element. In mining also, the amount of metals such as gold in rocks can be determined to see whether it is worth mining the rocks to extract the gold. Let's go for a practical demonstration of this instrument. Before analysis, we have to go for sample preparation. For sample preparation, we need a triacid mixture. This triacid mixture actually contains three different acids, that is nitric acid, perchloric acid and sulfuric acid, in the ratio of 10:4:1. And whatever the plant sample is, that may be leaf, root or any other part, we have to first wash it thoroughly, then we have to keep it for air drying. After proper air drying, we have to keep our sample in a oven at 60 degrees centigrade for several hours. After proper drying, we have to put our sample in a grinder and prepare the powder form. Okay.
Then we have to take 1 gram of that powder in a 100 ml conical flask. And in that conical flask, we have to add 10 to 15 ml of this triacid mixture. And we have to soak our sample overnight for at least 10 to 12 hours. And then after that, we have to switch on our this digestion system and we have to put our sample in this sand bath. And this digestion will go on up to 60 minutes to 90 minutes depending upon the condition until our solution becomes milky white. And after that, after cooling the system, we have to put certain amount of water in our conical flask and we have to filter our sample, and ultimately volume makeup will be done up to 50 ml or 100 ml depending upon the situation. Today we are going to demonstrate the parts and functioning of a sophisticated instrument called atomic absorption spectrophotometer. Like any other sophisticated instrument, this instrument also has different parts starting from air compression system, gas cylinder, the main atomic absorption spectrophotometer unit consisting the light source or radiation source, and the nebulizer burner system, detector, and in association with this the FIAS system, that is flow injection atomic spectroscopy, the exhaust hood, the drainage channel. And to operate this instrument we require a computer having the necessary software along with this printer. Now let's have a look on the different parts and functioning of this instrument in detail.
This is the air compression unit used to generate oxygen that will be used as oxidant gas throughout the analysis.
This one is the gas source. You can see there are 3 different cylinders. The first cylinder contains DA gas or dissolved acetylene gas. This acts as the fuel gas for this analysis. So this dissolved acetylene in presence of oxygen produces high temperature oxyacetylene flame that is required for the analysis. And in addition to this DA gas, for analysis of some elements like aluminium and boron, we need another gas that is called nitrous oxide gas. And there is a heating panel there that is required for liquefaction of that gas. And the third cylinder contains argon gas carrier that is required for analysis of certain heavy metals like arsenic, mercury and selenium. This one is the main atomic absorption spectrophotometer unit. It has 2 parts. You can see this part is the light source or radiation source and this part is the nebulizer burner system. Coming to the lamp source or light source, you can see there are 2 different kinds of lamps are there. One is electrodeless discharge lamp or EDL and another one is the hollow cathode lamp or HCl. This one is the electrodeless discharge lamp. You can see this one is the holder and this one is the main lamp unit. And this one is the hollow cathode lamp. This is the most commonly used light source for this instrument, and this is made up of tungsten anode and hollow cylindrical cathode made up of the same element to be analyzed. You can see each of this element has their own specific hollow cathode lamp that must be used for their specific analysis. This one is the nebulizer burner system. This part is the nebulizer. You can see here sample solution is provided and it is sucked up by this capillary tube where they are converted into fine aerosol spray or mist, and here the atomization takes place, and in presence of the oxyacetylene gas it produces flame. You can see the burner head there that produces short and thin flame, but in some elements like aluminium and boron we need longer flame. For that we use this kind of burner head.
This part is FIAS,
flow injection atomic spectroscopy. This instrument is required for analysis of certain heavy metals like arsenic, mercury and selenium. And in that case we need two reactants. You can see the two reactant bottles, one containing 0.5% sodium borohydride and another containing 10% of hydrochloric acid. And this instrument has several parts, such as you can see this one is the pump unit, this one is the sample mixing unit, this one is the sample trigger unit, and as this instrument requires argon gas as carrier, so this one is the argon gas controller knob. This is the exhaust hood for releasing the extra heat and gaseous substances, and this one is the drainage channel for removing the remaining unutilized samples. This is the basic computer system along with this printer, and this is required for analysis of our sample in both atomic absorption spectrophotometer and flow injection atomic spectrophotometer. This is the software Syngistics that is specifically prepared for this analysis. You can see this is the panel and it is required for optimization, method validation and sample run and analysis.
For analysis of samples, first we have to switch on our lamp. Then going to the lamp setup, firstly we have to select the desired lamp and put it on. Here we are switching on our copper lamp for copper analysis. Then we have to set up the lamp energy. Here you can see 79, that is the lamp energy. Then we have to click on the analysis tab and go to the method editor section. Open the method for copper analysis. Thereafter we have to go to settings and set the parameters as per our requirement. In the calibration section, we are setting standard concentrations of 0.1, 0.2, 0.4 and 0.8 ppm. And we are also setting our oxygen flow, that is 10 liter per minute, and acetylene gas flow as 2.5 liter per minute, and save the method. Then we have to initiate the burning of flame. Then again we have to go to the instrument and click on the flame control unit. At first we are switching on the flame unit. Here you can see that this is the flame. For analysis, first we have to run the sample blank, that is 2% HNO3. 2% HNO3 because the standard was prepared by this 2% HNO3. Then you have to click on this analyze blank and we will get the result. Next we have to run our samples. Then we have to put the capillary tube one by one in the different samples having concentration 0.1, 0.2, 0.4 and 0.8 ppm. Similarly, after that we have to click on analyze standard. Then we will get a calibration curve and that will have 4 different concentrations with 4 different absorbance values. Finally, we have to run for
sample analysis. In the similar way, we have to click on analyze sample, and here we will get the result. Here you can see the concentration is 0.394 ppm. After sample analysis, we go for printout. For this, we set up the printer, and first we have to select the window which we want to take the printout. So here firstly we are taking the printout for samples, that is sample analysis. We have to select the printer and we are taking the printout. And secondly, if you are interested to take printout of the standard card, in the similar way we are having this printout or standard card.